Learning to let go should be learned before learning to get. Life should be touched, not strangled. You've got to relax, let it happen at times, and let others move forward with it. Every one of us wants to improve our lives. It is the single greatest source of motivation to do things. There are many philosophers which put the improvement of oneself as the main goal we should strive towards. Take Nietzsche as an example. He gives two answers to the question of the meaning of life. The first one is the will to power. It is a natural gravity towards becoming more powerful, or simply put better, that all humans have. The second one is becoming the overman. It is, in a sense, the next evolution of human, one which transcends the established morals and values of human society and defines their own purpose and values. In both of those cases, the ultimate goal is the improvement of oneself. Most, if not all philosophies, give us tools to improve our lives. Zen Buddhism is no different. The whole point of Zen lies in achieving the state of enlightenment, which is the ultimate, best possible state of being. One of the most important teachings of Zen Buddhism is the doctrine of detachment. Detachment is an incredibly powerful tool that helps make ourselves much stronger, not only in the physical, but also in the spiritual world. It was first proclaimed by the Buddha himself. According to the Buddha, the source of all suffering we experience lies in desire, or, in other words, attachment. We can be attached to a variety of things, like material possessions, our relationships with other people, the opinions of others, and even our own emotions, thoughts, and feelings. To be attached means to perceive something as inseparable from your true self. It is to attach our value as a human being to outside factors. For example, seeing ourselves as more valuable and ultimately better than others, because we have more money, or because we are smarter, or better looking. Buddha's followers noticed that seeing someone who is doing worse than us makes us feel good. However, it is a double-edged sword. Later, when we see someone who's doing much better than us, we end up feeling down and worthless. We start to lose belief in ourselves, and in turn we stop improving. You probably heard the phrase, just stop comparing yourself to others, multiple times. But the thing is, it almost never works. It is natural and to a certain extent healthy for us humans to compare ourselves. The real issue here is not that we compare ourselves, but where the comparison comes from. It comes from attachment. For example, when we see a good-looking person, at our core we want their looks for ourselves. We get attached to that desire, and we let that desire rule over us. For example, we start hating ourselves for not looking as good as that person. Now, let's imagine a person who practices detachment. They see a good-looking person. At their core, they want their looks for themselves. Then, they notice the desire in their minds, and they simply let it be. Buddha's real message is not for us to fight our thoughts. It is not to get angry at our brains every time they compare us to others. It is to notice the thought, notice the comparison, and detach ourselves from it. Simply let it be, and after a short time, it will be gone. Constantly comparing ourselves to others can be a great detriment to our improvement as human beings. But comparison is not the only thing that being detached helps us with. Accept, then act. Whatever the present moment contains, accept it as if you had chosen it. Always work with it, not against it. This will miraculously transform your whole life." End quote. Detachment means acceptance, and acceptance is the very first step towards success. In order to climb higher, first we need to accept where we are right now. We need to meet ourselves in the present moment, no matter how hopeless it may be. In 2019, there was a study conducted at the University of Minnesota. The scholars analyzed over 100 years of data regarding work-related success. It proved that the number one factor corresponding to prosperity is conscientiousness. This trait includes qualities like discipline and focus. Why are most people undisciplined and unfocused? Buddhism would have us believe that all of it starts in our minds. All that we are is the result of what we have thought. The mind is everything. What we think, we shall become. End quote. How does procrastination start? How do we end up making decisions that we know for a fact we will regret later? It all begins with our thoughts, emotions, and feelings. For example, you may promise yourself that you will go to the gym today, but when it's time to go, all kinds of thoughts, emotions, and feelings appear. We experience negative emotion and have thoughts like, I don't want to go because it's cold outside. Now, we may choose to get attached to those thoughts. We may choose not to accept them and distract ourselves from them. We end up not going, or we can choose to accept those thoughts. Instead of fighting with them, instead of trying to forget them, we can see them for what they are. They are sensations in your body and voices in your head, and, most importantly, they are all temporary. Everything is temporary. Emotions, thoughts, people and their scenery. Do not become attached, just flow with it." End quote. Just because we feel a certain way in the moment doesn't mean that we will feel the same way 5 minutes from now. A detached person doesn't need to listen to their thoughts. Thus, they can simply do what they know for a fact is best for them. So, not being attached to the way that we feel right now enables us to be more disciplined, more focused, more conscientious, and more successful. Now, it's important to note that being detached doesn't mean not to care about anything. Living a happy, peaceful life is impossible if you don't pay any attention to things like your mental and physical health or the people important to you. The essence of detachment is acceptance. It is not being completely detached from the outside world, but being detached from your thoughts, emotions and feelings. Being able to accept whatever is going on in your inner world and work with all three of those things is true detachment. You are not your thoughts is another fundamental teaching of Zen Buddhism. Let's imagine a man. He goes to the store and sees a pack of cigarettes. His whole body sends him a message. I want this. But there is also a different voice saying, don't buy it, it's bad for you. Now there is a battle going on in his mind. He hears two voices and doesn't know which one to listen to. Now let me ask you, which voice is the real him? In the Jujutsu Kaisen manga series, there is a character named Suguru Geito. At a certain point in his life, he finds himself at a crossroads. A part of him hates the world as it is and wants to commit genocide in order to prevent the birth of cursed spirits, which torment humanity. On the other hand, he knows that it would mean killing his own parents and betraying all his friends. He has a conversation with another character named Yuki Tsukumo. She tells him that neither of the two voices is the real him, and that from now on he can decide which one will be the true Suguru Geito. Both the man at the store and Geito prove that we are not our thoughts. What our minds tell us are only possibilities for who we can become. Zen monks, scholars and masters pose the question, if we are not our thoughts, what is it that makes the decision? What is this being, this entity, this consciousness inside of us that hears the thoughts and experiences the feelings and emotions? This thing is our true self. This is the instrument of detachment. Zen masters have realized that we are only observers of the experience that is life. The single most important and most powerful practice that cultivates detachment is the exercise of meditation. It is commonly misunderstood and taken as simply sitting and doing nothing. However, the essence of meditation is the awareness of us not being our thoughts, but instead observers of reality. It will be best explained by Osho in the following quote. I'm simply saying that there is a way to be sane. I'm saying that you can get rid of all this insanity created by the past in you, just by being a simple witness of your thought processes. It is simply sitting silently, witnessing the thoughts passing before you, just witnessing, not interfering, not even judging, because the moment you judge, you have lost the pure witness. The moment you say, this is good, this is bad, you have already jumped onto the thought process. It takes a little time to create a gap between the witness and the mind. Once the gap is there, you are in for a great surprise, that you are not the mind, that you are the witness, a watcher. And this process of watching is the very alchemy of real religion, because as you become more and more deeply rooted in witnessing, thoughts start disappearing. You are, but the mind is utterly empty. That is the moment of enlightenment. That is the moment that you become, for the first time, an unconditioned, sane, really free human being." End quote. The goal of all philosophy is, in one way or another, to improve our lives. The number one tool that Zen offers towards that goal is detachment. It is the ability to accept any state that our lives are in. It can be misunderstood as not caring about anything at all and fighting with our thoughts and feelings. But detachment is the ability to know that feelings, thoughts, and emotions are temporary and treat them as such. It is not to ignore them, but notice them and let them pass. It is not to ignore everything, but to accept it. It's not being detached from the world, but being detached from yourself. Acceptance is the very first step towards success. It enables us to be higher than our thoughts and not let them rule over us. Thus, it is the key to building discipline and focus, which are essential to getting ahead. It also enables us to be more true to ourselves, as it makes us realize that we are not our thoughts.